very much. Can you all hear me? Good. Right. Thank you for coming out today in such numbers. Last night, as Bernie said, in Stormont, over 10,000 people gathered. We walked silently up the hill, and then we stood with our lights shining to say for 6 minutes in silence, they did not ask us. They did not ask, do we want abortion, and yet they imposed it on us. I want to thank all those who came to Stormont last night. I want to thank all of you for coming here today. And we're here because in July, in Westminster, members of Parliament who don't live here and who don't represent us decided that our law should change. In 1967, we said we did not want the Abortion Act. In 2016, we said we did not want the Abortion Act. And the government have consistently told Parliament that they would not legislate on this. And yet we saw what happened in July. I believe, as do millions of others across the world, that human life exists from the moment of conception and that it must be protected at all times. Know that despite all the campaigns and all the protestations, there is no human right to abortion. No human right allows killing. We fought over those few days in July, the 12th weekend. We fought to try and stop this law. It was like a roller coaster. All the proper procedures, all the consultation, all the planning, none of it happened. We tried to stop it. The government ignored all its obligations. They didn't have to do this. This was a recommendation of an unelected committee under a protocol of a convention. They did not have to do this. I asked them, what exactly are you doing by giving effect to these recommendations of CEDAW? The minister did not answer. It is not clear, but we do know that we will have abortion here on the 22nd of October unless our MLAs get back. I will come back to that. I want to thank the 20,000 people who over about 4 days signed my letter and Lord Eames's letter to the Prime Minister. It was a wonderful response. You know, if England and Wales had responded in that number over the 4 or 5 days, 500,000 people would have voted, would have signed the letter. This level of support has never been seen before. So this law was imposed on us by 300 MPs who did not consult us and who do not represent us. It was a complete denial of democracy, and they did not care. The problem is, our politicians are not sitting in Stormont. We're coming up to 1,000 days without a government here. And that made the opportunity for those who want to extend abortion law, not just here, but to extend it even further in England and Wales, that gave them the opportunity to act. Now, even those who are pro-choice are now beginning to accept that abortion is about killing babies. If you or 3 are 5 months pregnant and you go for a scan, they do not say to you, there is your fetus. They say to you, there is your baby. When I lost my first baby because I was caught in a bomb explosion, the doctor who stood at the end of my bed did not say to me, your pregnancy is over, your fetus is terminated. He said to me, your baby is dead. That is what happens when babies are aborted too. They said in Westminster that we were oppressed here in Northern Ireland. They said we are downtrodden. They said we are deprived of equality. Are we? No. We think that our law brings freedom to mothers and their children and their fathers and their families. We seek to support them. The situation in England is terrible. 1 in 4 babies is aborted now. For every baby who's born, for every 3 babies who are born, there is an abortion. It is truly shocking. And 90% of babies with Down syndrome, wonderful little people, are aborted. I was speaking in Oxford a few weeks ago, and a woman came up to me and she said she had carried her baby who had Down syndrome, and on each of her prenatal visits, the doctors had said to her, it would be much easier for you if you have an abortion. You could really think about having an abortion. She said it was relentless. It was a constant message right through her pregnancy. A time when women are so vulnerable, and she was strong, and she has her baby whom she loves. There is now a deadline. The 21st of October is the deadline. If the Assembly is not up and running on the 21st of October, abortion up to 28 weeks is decriminalised. There is no going back from that short of another act of the Westminster Parliament. That means you can abort any baby up to 28 weeks. Yes, we need to work out how we are going to manage what is going to happen in the next few weeks. I ask all our Assembly members, and some of them are here today, I ask you, come back. You have the power to stop this. If you come back, the power to stop this lies in your hands. And if you don't come back, then it is you who are delivering abortion to Northern Ireland against the will of the people. And so let's just think for a minute about what's going to happen to our unborn babies. From the 22nd of October until new regulations come into effect, there will be no regulation of abortion. Any baby up to 28 weeks will be able to be aborted. And the only qualification to that is if the baby is capable of living, then it should not be aborted. But it will be very hard to protect babies in that situation. The presumption now in law is that babies are only capable of living independently after 28 weeks. It's a presumption which is decades old. We know now babies born at 21 and 22 weeks survive. If an abortion is carried out in these circumstances, there will be no investigation, there will be no prosecution. Even in the situation in which, for example, a man who doesn't want his partner, his wife, to carry the child, if he puts medication in her tea and she drinks it and she aborts, there is no criminal offence anymore under the Offences Against the People Act. And if a terrified little girl is forced by people, her parents or anyone else, to go and have an abortion, they will not commit the offences which now exist. So there will be no protection for that unborn child. There will be no legal requirement to check whether a woman or a girl has been forced to have an abortion. It does happen. There will be no legal requirement that 2 doctors certify that abortion is medically necessary. There will be no legal requirement for a doctor to be present to look after the woman if there are complications. It will be possible to have an abortion anywhere. There will be no provision enabling medical practitioners to say, I cannot do this. We have to protect our medical practitioners, our nurses, our pharmacists. Water in my bag. I have a bill currently before Parliament, but at the moment there will be no protection. Thanks a million. The parents of a girl who is pregnant may never know that she has been given pills to abort her baby, and those pills sometimes have very bad consequences for the mother as well as the baby. We will have in Northern Ireland the most draconian abortion legislation almost in the world. And government and Parliament have refused, they have refused to ask the Secretary of State to consult all our MLAs and to see whether they agree, because the devolved power belongs with the MLAs. So, I'm going not to be able to speak, sorry. So, we do not know in what circumstances abortion will be allowed. We do not know whether there will be a time limit. We do not know whether there will be any restrictions on access to abortion. We do not know what arrangements will be made. We do not know, as I said, whether our doctors and nurses and pharmacists are going to be compelled to do this. We have a right to know and a right to be heard on these things. I have one final thing to say to you. Our new law will be made by regulations at Westminster. This means that the government will draft the rules, probably very similar to the Abortion Act in England and Wales, and all that Parliament will be able to do is to pass it or reject it. They will pass it. We cannot allow this to happen. So, where are our politicians? We elected them to run Northern Ireland. We gave them power. We pay for them. They are not doing the job they were elected to do. They need to come back to Stormont. If they come back to Stormont, this will not happen. If they don't come back, our most vulnerable children will be killed in the place where they should be safest, their mother's womb. Our babies have a right to life. Our politicians need to come back and do the job. Thank you.